Welcome back to another episode of Simply Medicare. I'm your host, Debbie Stroup, your Michigan Medicare specialist, and I am so excited to talk about travel today. Yay, we've been in lockdown for 2 years and now it's time and we are ready to travel. And I want to introduce to you Sanya. She's going to tell us a little bit about herself and where she is in this industry, how she got in the industry, maybe a little bit about your family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad to have you on and to talk about travel again. So Sanya, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much, Debbie, for that. I love your excitement, and talking about travel is always an exciting topic. So I'm glad to be here. So thank you for this opportunity on your amazing platform. And I know people are like, okay, travel and Medicare, how do they merge? But I must tell you that my story starts with my mom. So I think about the legacy that we have in our family in the travel and hospitality industry. And I am just here continuing that dream that my mom had. So we started our business in Detroit. That was almost 52 years ago. When my mom was the first African-American to open a travel agency in Detroit. For all those Detroiters out there, I like to always say she was right on 7 Mile, and you have to be a Detroiter to appreciate us talking about miles as streets. So she was there for many years, and I grew up in the business. Just knowing all of the talents that she had, she was able to instill those in me. And as she passed on to a greater place, she made sure that she left her legacy in myself, and I leave it in my kids. And those are the jewels I say that she left us. And I always reference them as jewels because we continue to impact people the same way that she did. So not only as travel, and we send people all over the world and we make their dreams come true and also make it very exciting and work free for them. But she also was very involved in the community. And for that, I appreciate all of that, that knowledge that she gave me, and also the heart that she gave me to give back to the community. So not only are we allowing people to explore the world and have fun and relax, which is extremely important, you have to make sure that you are, taking a break in life, but we are also impacting our community both locally and also abroad. My school, I born and raised in Detroit, so I'm a product of the Catholic schools, our archdiocese in Detroit area. Went off to college and majored in engineering, actually. So it was aerospace engineering, but it was engineering, and I worked in that space for a couple of years after attending Tuskegee University. But no matter what we did and whatever education we had, we were always in the travel industry. On spring break when we came home, winter break, or holidays, you would come home, and part of the ritual would be to call Carnival Cruise Line or to talk with someone at airlines. So it was always a part of us, no matter what we decided to do. But I'm blessed to be able to work on the family business full time now. Our office is in Novi, and we are excited to continue to grow in that hospitality and tourism space. And I like to say that I'm a product of a wonderful woman who is continuing to offer those jewels to so many different people to make sure that they do the same thing. So that's my start, and I'm excited to share that.
Wow. Okay. So going from being a engineer in aerospace, which seems like maybe one of the furthest things you can do from the travel industry, although they're both flying. So I guess
exactly.
Somehow they're kind of connected. And then back to what your calling was to be in the travel industry. So that seems like two opposite ends of the spectrum, but you can't help it when your heart is calling you. You have to follow your heart. And
Exactly.
so, that's a lovely story. So let's talk about what it's like now to work with a travel agent, because pre-pandemic, maybe folks either did or didn't use it. And then pandemic happened, and now things are very, very different. And why is it important to work with a travel agent? So many of us are used to doing everything on our own. We want to buy our groceries online. We want to book our vacation online. We want to do everything online. Why is it important that now, maybe after pandemic, that we need to work with a professional like yourself in the industry?
And that's an amazing question. I look back at the experiences and that we had before the pandemic, and a lot of people looked at us as like a luxury, more like a concierge service where we were able to assist you because you didn't want to do it yourself. But now that we're on the other side, it's more of a need. I suggest that everyone have a professional before they take themselves out of the country. And the reason being, there's a lot of new rules and regulations. There's even countries that still have COVID restrictions right now, and also requirements in order to enter to the country. And a lot of those things are, if you were to try to do it yourself, they're not readily available where exactly what to expect with that travel experience. So we're here not only to plan everything from start to finish, but also prepare you for what you're going to jump into when you arrive on at whatever the destination is. It starts with passports. We have a process that makes sure that our clients are looking at their passports from the time that they call us. That's one of the mandatory things. We say, get your passport out, because a lot of people forget that they have to renew them, or they forget that the pandemic was basically about 3 years in a sense versus just 1 year. And their passport may have expired. So we get you into the mindset of getting ready to go, even if you're planning a year out. So that's the first thing. Another thing is having protection, travel insurance, vacation protection, health benefits when you are abroad, traveling with an illness, if you're a diabetic, or if you're restricted from, walking and, mobility wise. There's a lot of countries that are not sensitive to that, like we are in the US. And people forget that when they leave, they're no longer in the US, and there's no elevators in certain destinations that you may go to. There's pebblestone roads where wheelchairs can't go over. You have to really be knowledgeable on that. And what we do as professionals, we stay up on the destinations, the requirements, the experiences, and we're able to really, really help. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that it is a fun-filled, amazing experience. And we like to use the word experience because it's not just a trip. You're not just going somewhere and getting off an airplane and then there's nothing else included. We want that experience from start to finish to be up to your expectations and also to be enjoyable. I've heard horror stories. I can tell you, Debbie, people going to Hawaii and didn't have the correct paperwork to get in, and they had to get on the airplane and come back. Or people going to Europe and they think they can get, around in a mobile car, like a mobile wheelchair, and they can't because the roads are small or they're not accommodating. So those are the kind of things that we like to prevent.
And that makes sense. So as I'm thinking about the benefits of using a travel agent, somebody who maybe has not used one, they might be thinking, well, this is going to cost me too much money. I can do this on my own. I'm a smart person. I can do this on my own. And I don't want to spend extra money hiring a travel person, a travel professional. I can just do this on my own and save money. So what would you suggest regarding that thought?
So first of all, about 75% of the travel agents do not charge a fee. We're one of them. We do not charge a fee for what we do. And people say, well, how do you make your money? Mm-hmm. Don't worry about it. Believe me, our partners like airlines and hotels and cruise lines, they love that we are assisting you. So they don't mind, compensating us in our industry. So we don't have to pass that cost on to our client. So we do that with no cost. And that's one of the main things that people don't understand or don't know about our industry. Now, when you get into weddings and special event planning, there may be a fee for that because those are professionals in that area that will allow that experience to be, just life changing and also not non-stressful for you. But for just a typical, cruise, riverboat cruise, trips to Arizona, trips to Alaska, trips to Africa, all those, we plan those for you and there's no additional cost.
That's really awesome to hear. And if I may, I just want to share a super quick story. Obviously, before I met you, this was right as the pandemic was happening. So April of 2020, there were four of us. We were going to go on a cruise, and we used a travel professional such as yourself, who is a friend from college. She did a wonderful job. And then COVID hit and we're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And as the dominoes fell, okay, the airline industry canceled flights. Now the cruise canceled. I mean, we had airlines booked, to and from. We had hotel night before, night after. We had the cruise. We had everything booked. And had I not had a travel professional, I don't know how we would have got a refund with all of that. We had our excursions booked. How do you cancel and get your money back on an excursion? But the travel professional that we worked with was awesome. She's like, this is my job. I will get it back for you. And she not only got it back, but on the cruise, they said, if you're willing to not get your money back, we'll give you a 20 or 25% bump. And we're like, well, okay, we trusted her this far, and it worked out great. So I can't even imagine what it would have been like to try and get a refund on all of those things had I not worked. And it didn't cost us anything. And she just kept reassuring us, don't worry about it. This is my job. I will handle this for you. And like I said, it didn't cost us anything. And it was helping her career. It was getting her money too. And so it was like a win-win for everybody.
Well, I'm glad you had a great experience. And that is one of many stories during that time. And what I would just like to make a point of, when the airlines and the cruise lines are affected on such a large scale, like COVID, they make decisions on a large scale. But us as professionals and you as our clients, we make decisions on a smaller scale to help our individual clients. So we were able to chime in on exactly what your personal needs were. And then it's all about relationships. And I tell people, there's just like hairstylists and professionals and that are doing part-time business, we are full-time travel professionals. And those that are part-time, I'm glad that they're there and they're doing a great job, but we have relationships. We've earned those relationships. We've been trained, and that allows us more of an opportunity to help our clients. So we can make a phone call and say, hey, my client doesn't want a certificate. They want their money because whatever their personal situation is, we need to do that. And I was able to flip things around for my clients such as that because certificates didn't work for everyone. And the airlines thought that was a great idea. Oh, we're going to give them a piece of paper. But no, because Miss Smith over here doesn't want that piece of paper because now she's terrified. But Mr. Smith over here may want that piece of paper. So we had to work based on our clients, not based on all of the clients in the world, but our clients, what was personal to them. And because of our relationships, we were able to come out of COVID. I mean, then business started to double, which was amazing. But it was a tough time, but it allowed us to show our clients, just like your travel agent was able to do, just show you that this is what we do. And if you trust us, it will have a great ending.
Right. And I think that it is so important that we have those relationships. I rely on those relationships in the Medicare world. You rely on those relationships in the travel world, and people want to be able to trust you. And they're telling you information that maybe they don't tell their own family.
Oh, yeah.
Illness or a phobia that they might have. I mean, I'm sure you could tell stories all day long about things that folks are telling you that they're afraid to tell other folks. In my industry, that happens all the time. So that I think that that's awesome. I want to ask you about the seniors, the folks that are 65 and older that perhaps have never traveled before and now they want to travel with their families. Or what about the seniors that are unexpectedly alone? They lost their spouse, they lost their best friend, and now they're on their own and they're scared and they're thinking they want to make a trip to the Grand Canyon. They've always wanted to, but they have no idea how to do it. I no idea. So how can you help those seniors that are either coming out of pandemic and they want to travel, or they're alone and they don't know what to do. They're overwhelmed.
Well, seniors are my favorite clients. Reason being, of course, they're baby boomers, so they are a different kind of a senior. You know, they're not the stay at home senior. They want to explore. And I must tell you, one of the experiences I had that empowered me to do more for my seniors, I was on a riverboat cruise, and we were in Germany, and this particular cruise line was pretty much more catered to seniors. And but they're very active. They ride bikes, they hike. I mean, they had so many activities lined up. And I was thinking, like, these people are not about to do all of this. But every time we stopped, they were like off the ship, ready on a bike with their hat on. And I'm like, okay, I may need to walk this one, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
or we went to a castle and they would walk around the entire castle twice, and I'm just getting halfway through.
Yeah.
But it showed me that they are so energetic. They want to experience something really great. And then history, activities, great dining, wine, all these things they love. So that allowed me to really appreciate who my seniors were and practically know that they had more energy than myself. But
and you're absolutely correct. I mean, these 65-year-olds that are coming on, or the 70-year-olds, they're very active. But also, what about the seniors that aren't active, that can't get around, and they would love to see the Grand Canyon, but really, I'm going to see the Grand Canyon in a wheelchair, or I'm going to see the Grand Canyon by myself? I mean, these are real fears, and these are real things that are going through their mind. There's no way I'm in a wheelchair, or I've got diabetes, or I'm on oxygen. How am I going to see the Grand Canyon or fly to Paris and go to the top of the Eiffel Tower? I've always wanted to do that, but I've got limitations. And how do you help those folks?
So what we do, because I focus a lot on travel for our seniors, they can actually do all those things, first of all. And we work with professionals on the ground that know ahead of time what they are going to have to do for our clients. So for example, I actually have a client in Paris right now that is mobility challenged, and he travels with a motorized car. And we had to have special transfers from the airport, a hotel that will accommodate him and his situation. It has the room size and the shower accommodations, because in Europe, they don't accommodate that at all hotels. Also, being a diabetic, we make sure refrigerators are in the room, or if there's particular medications that they need to travel with that need special care, that those are accommodated as well. What I really love is we are able to tell you which cruise lines, which hotels, and which destinations will be best for whatever you are experiencing. You know, let it be mobility challenges, or even, we have people that are have sight challenges, and they love to hear, or it's amazing how they take in a vacation a little differently. And we make sure that they're in a space where they're able to appreciate what works for them. So sometimes it's challenging, just making sure that we make all their dreams come true, because they do have big dreams, even though they may be limited. But that's no problem, because we're there to accommodate them. And there's vendors that we use specifically for this particular type of care and type of travel experience.
So what about the seniors that are alone? They've lost their spouse, they've lost their best friend, and they have always dreamed of going to Paris or the Grand Canyon, but they're on their own. How do you accommodate them?
So what we have things such that you call escorted tours. So the escorted tours allow for anyone to join in, and a lot of them are catered to some really fabulous destinations that either you can go by train or you're cruising to faraway places that will allow you to build relationships with the people that you're there with. We've even had a client get, find her first love, and she was like 70. And so those are really great stories. But with the escorted tours, the only thing I like to tell people, if there was a bad side to it, they only go out certain times. So it may not work for you sometimes just because of the timing, because they do schedule them out. But if the dates work for you, it's a great experience. They're smaller groups. They're you can pick the activity level. So they'll say walking tour, riding tour, sitting tour, whatever you want to do. And it allows you to enjoy the Grand Canyon in all of those particular levels. And even if you go by yourself, it's priced nicely as a single. So in our business, it's like single supplement, or you're traveling solo. There's always a higher price because they normally price it with two people. But there's companies that are sensitive to that, and especially the cruise lines are becoming more sensitive to that, where they're solo travelers, so they don't overprice it like we used to have an issue with years ago.
So if I'm a senior and I'm traveling on my own, are you saying that I can be a part of a group then, and then
Yeah.
I'm not alone? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So you can become part of our escorted group. But that means that anyone can join, let it be a solo person or a couple. So if they're traveling solo and their friends are a couple, it's still fine. They could travel together, still have the same experience. Pricing will be great, and they won't feel alone. They'll actually have a lot of people that they're working with. I know I went on one cruise line by myself one year, and it's more of a European cruise line. Um, and there were a lot of widows on there, and they were all from London. And what they do on this particular cruise line is they, every night for dinner, they pair together different people. It's amazing how they did a great job, because I knew no one on this particular ship, but I felt like I was eating with the queen every day, because someone from UK was sitting at the table, and they were, but it was a great merger of personalities and backgrounds. But the cruise line itself will invite you to dinner so that you're not by yourself. I never felt out of place. I made some great friends, and I love that concept. So that's an example of what they would do if someone's traveling by themselves. By the end of that cruise, you're going to have friends for life.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then if I'm traveling alone, do I have the option to either stay in a room by myself at night, or maybe I'm open to having a roommate to maybe help reduce on the cost? Is that an option for me as well?
So yes, that is definitely an option. So what we encourage, if you're traveling by yourself, we don't encourage you to pair up with strangers, just because it's just a new day, and we're not able to promise that who that person may be. But because the industry is very sensitive to people traveling by themselves, they're lowering the cost for what we call single supplement rate. So they're starting to lower the price where it's comfortable now, where if you do travel by yourself, it won't break the bank. But there are opportunities that we have, like I have different churches and organizations that are open. They're called travel groups. So they're open to people sharing rooms, but then you get to meet the person, and then you can make a decision if you would like to, pair up together.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about that senior who wants to, whether they're alone or they still have their best friend or their spouse with them, and they want to take the whole family on a cruise, or they want to take the whole family a great blowout and go to Disney World. And so you've got all ages. coming from different places around the country. You know, you've got folks that live in California, maybe folks that live here in Michigan, or folks that live out in New York. And I've got 12 grandchildren and 4 children and their spouses. And I want to just do it all. We're going to go to Disney World. How do you coordinate that?
Oh, well, that's my day every day now. Now we're on my schedule.
Yep. Welcome to my life, right?
Welcome to my life. So that happens a lot. We, like I said, the seniors that we have now are amazing when it comes to family time. And they really like to travel with the younger kids because it's all about legacy. It is all about, just spending time with their grandchildren and different generations. So like we do that all the time. So Disney is a great destination where that happens. Cruising is definitely cost efficient and one of the better ways that families can travel together. And I think that's an excellent idea. I mean, I now have grandchildren myself, and I make it a point to every year to take them somewhere because that helps to build that bond between the grandparents and the kids. And what better way to do that when you can send the mom and dad off somewhere to dinner or something so that you have that special time. So we do that with no problem. It's very easy to do in our industry because that's what we do. So no matter if you're coming from different destinations and you're meeting up, or if you're celebrating something and you want to have celebratory, activities when you get there, we can do all that no matter what the destination.
Right. And can you imagine? I mean, I don't even want to imagine trying to do all of that on my own. It just wouldn't even make sense. So
the best thing we tell them is if you're in charge, just stay in charge. You don't want to have a family meeting and say, okay, where we're going to go, when we're going to go, because you'll never make a decision. So I try to coach my seniors into saying, where would you like to go and what would you like to do for the kids? And let's just do that. We'll send them an email and say, this is the dates, this is where we're going. We just need you to let us know if you're going. And it makes it so much easier where it's not another situation where they have to convince the kids. It's like, look, this is what I want to do. And I feel like I'm a psychologist sometimes because I'll get phone calls from the kids saying, oh, I don't want to be there that long, or this is not. I was like, you know what? Your mom and dad have planned this, and this is what they want. Give them this opportunity. And by the time I finish scolding them, no.
That's funny.
I know. Then everything goes to play. Because can you imagine those conversations on the phone? Going to, I'm like, that they don't need that. They're doing a favor. So I like to try to be the median between the two.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And what about, I can see benefits of using someone like yourself, a travel professional. What if I've got people coming from all over the country and all of a sudden their flight was canceled because of a snowstorm in California, or somebody got really sick in New York and they can't make it? Can you imagine trying to do that yourself? And I'm sure that you say as a travel professional, call me, I got you. I know how to handle that. Or if they get to their destination and the hotel says, we don't have your reservation. Hey, they call you, you handle it. Have you encountered those kinds of situations before?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I first tell my clients what you hear on the news, believe me, it affects us. So if Southwest decides to cancel all the flights, we're affected. If there's a hurricane somewhere, we're affected. But we prepare for that. So for one, we make sure that insurance is in place. But if you have it, that's awesome. Also, we make sure that if you're leaving the country, that the government knows that you leave sometimes. I mean, there's a STEP program that you register your travel. So if there is, like we had students stuck in Morocco during COVID, and they couldn't get home because there were no flights. But the State Department knew they were there because we had registered their travel with the State Department. So they go through a list and say, oh, we got to pick up all these kids. We haven't heard from them. So if you don't register your travel, there's an opportunity for you to kind of be left alone by yourself. So we make sure that those things are in place for them. But things happen. So if you have a situation with your airline, we're there to assist you. But if we're not physically there, we tell you exactly what to do, but then we're working on our end as well. So now you have another person working to try to solve the problem for you.
Exactly. And it's kind of similar in the Medicare world. If you're trying to do this on your own and then you have an issue, you have to call 1-800 who cares. Where with you, you're not, that customer isn't
Exactly.
calling 1-800 who cares. They're calling 1-800 I care, which is you, and you're going to help them. And they didn't have to pay any extra for this. You know,
Right.
like a mutual friend of ours says, you don't have to pay me anything but your attention. And I think
love that.
yeah, you know, I just, it's difficult for us to create and imagine a more terrifying situation than getting to our destination and they have no idea that you were supposed to be there. But they can call you and you can help them through that.
Well, you know, one thing I like to say that has never happened with us, but what we do is we call ahead of time because we're always doing something special in the room. So, you know, we'll call and say, oh, they're celebrating an anniversary, or it's a birthday, or I just want to put a thank you letter. So that kind of preps them, first of all, to say, okay, we do have a person coming because we have things in order for them. So that kind of, I guess, is like a backtrack for us, where we make sure that we do all we can to shower our clients with, special things upon their arrival, so that pretty much knows that they have something in place. And, you know, I hate to say, you know, things happen, but we do what we can to make sure that those things don't happen, because I can't even imagine what that feels like.
Mm-hmm. Right. And they don't have to worry about that when they have someone like you, and you're going to make those call aheads and those confirmations and making sure that everything is in place so that they don't have to worry about it. I mean, it sounds like you treat them like royalty, and wow, what a better feeling than that, right? So I think that that's awesome.
I love that.
100%. So anything else, like what are some hot destinations that you're seeing this year?
Yeah, so Europe is really hot. Croatia is really a great place. People are getting on private yachts and enjoying that. Spain and Portugal is extremely popular right now. Actually, the prices are very good for those particular destinations, so they're becoming popular. You know, Paris is always the place that everyone wants to go for fantasy. But then on the other side, the Caribbean is there for you. A lot of people are going, you know, deeper in the South Caribbean, where they're enjoying themselves. The water, the air is fresh, the food, those types of things. So that is really hot. But one destination is funny because people start talking about Dubai. I mean, everyone loves Dubai, and so many different ages have experienced it differently because they have so much to offer. So it's fun to hear about the experiences from Dubai when they tell me, oh, I went all the way to Dubai to jump out of an airplane, right? It's like, I went all the way to Dubai to, you know, do something abnormal. I'm like, you could have done that here, but it's okay that you want to go to Dubai to do it.
That's right.
You know, but those are really the great places to go. And then cruising is back. You know, we have our avid cruisers. They love cruises. They've made so many different changes with the cruise world. And, I'm amazed how they bounce back. It did take them a little longer to bounce back, but they have. And they are very sensitive to everything, you know, from, you know, security to, you know, sanitizing everything to mobility issues, and then still staying where they're known for people going to have fun with their families. So, you know, I can't say we're 100% back as an industry, but we are really, really close.
That's awesome to hear, because I know everybody, the pent up demand has got to be there, where whether they've had the courage to call you yet or not, they're thinking about it. I want to go. I want to go see my grandchildren. I want to go on that cruise. I want to go to Alaska and step out on an iceberg. So the pent up demand is there. It's just getting that courage to call you. And speaking of which, what is the best way to reach you?
Oh, well, like I said, we're in Novi, Michigan, so we welcome anyone who wants to come in and just kind of chat and sit with us, because I know, that is the best way to communicate. And you can always call us at our office. So our telephone number is 248-295-2715. That's 248-295-2715. And our website is YPT onthego.com, and they could always go there. And, we're there to speak with them over the phone, speak with them face to face. And of course, email and text, we do that too, if that is the best way to communicate with you. I must tell you one last thing, as we now have our nonprofit, which is just a product of what we do, and is giving travel to our youth, and especially our youth that are not able to do it themselves, or their families have never traveled, they don't have the means of traveling. And we look at travel like a book. We always say, if you don't open the pages, you don't know what's inside. You just can't look at the cover. And we feel that you need to explore, let it teach you about entrepreneurship, cultural immersion, financial literacy. So I always want to put that out there, because when you travel with us, we actually donate to the nonprofit to assist our students with traveling. So you'll be traveling with a cause, because you'll be helping our youth as well.
Thank you again. And thank you, everyone. That's another episode of Simply Medicare. I'm your host, Debbie Straup, your Michigan Medicare specialist. Looking forward to seeing all of you soon. Have a great one. If you've enjoyed this edition of Simply Medicare podcast and you don't want to miss any future episodes, please make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Please also leave comments and offer feedback so we can make this podcast the best it can be for you. If you need assistance with your Medicare sign-up, or you just have general Medicare questions, make sure to reach out to me at 248-227-0347. You can also reach me online at MichiganMedicareSpecialist.com, or through my email at Debbie@MichiganMedicareSpecialist.com. I really look forward to working with you soon.